Hello and welcome back to the channel. Some of you may not know, but I'm a vegan and I currently live in Finland, where right now it's roughly minus 17 degrees. How do I manage this as a vegan? And what tips do I have for you for surviving Finland in winter as a vegan? That's what we're going to get into today. This is basically going to be a vegan guide to living in Finland. And we're going to do the guide inside because it is minus 17 and I don't know how much longer I can sit here in a t-shirt. So as I was saying, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you everything I know about being a vegan in Finland, including food, clothing, and some tips that you're probably not going to be able to get anywhere else. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy vegan videos. And let's jump in. Kicking off with food. What's the vegan food situation here in Finland? Finland actually has fully embraced plant-based food. In every supermarket, you'll find loads of packs of ready-to-eat lentils, ready-to-eat chickpeas, ready-to-eat beans of all different types, and lots of other ready-made packs of legumes and vegetables and all this kind of thing. These things are great for making quick dishes, like a quick chili or a curry or something like that, or just adding them to any meal, because like I said, they're just ready to eat. And of course, there's a wide range of different fresh fruits and vegetables in the fresh produce section of every supermarket. You can also easily find bags of nuts and seeds, nut butters, all things that are great for high-calorie nutrition. For the bodybuilders out there and the gym rats, they've got protein powders and protein bars that are vegan as well. You'll always get a better price on that kind of thing when you buy it online, but if you're ever caught in a pinch, then the supermarkets have it too. At certain times of the year, you'll see little stores outside the supermarkets selling various seasonal fruits and vegetables and really interesting stuff. And you'll see stuff like wild blueberries and wild mushrooms that have been picked from the forests right here in Finland. And we're going to talk more about that a little bit later on. If you're craving some nasty junk food, Finland's got you covered there too. Some of the major frozen food producers here have jumped on... I hit my cup. I've jumped in on the plant-based food market. You can get pretty reasonably priced vegan chicken burgers and vegan beef burgers in the freezer section in most supermarkets. There's also vegan chicken strips, vegan chicken fillets, vegan pizzas. There's even one by the big pizza brand Ristorante, which is really good. Have any of you tried the Ristorante vegan pizza yet? Get in the comments, let me know what you think. The shops also have stuff like vegan meatballs, vegan kebab meat, sausages, tofu, seitan, tempeh, tons of options for the specialist vegan protein stuff. And for the cheesy vegans, again, most of the big supermarkets here have an entire section just for vegan cheese. They stock popular brands like Violife, which is decent, and they've also got a lot of individual brands from the country and from neighboring countries too, where they do things like aged cashew cheese, fermented cashew cheese, stuff like that, if you're feeling a bit special, because it's not very affordable, but it is very good. And a really cool thing about Finland is these supermarket chains stretch across the entire country. So even if you're in the middle of nowhere, you can go into one of these supermarkets and they'll have most of these vegan options. How cool is that? I've traveled through the country all the way from Helsinki to Kilpisjärvi, which is in the far north of the country. And even right there in the farthest northern point of Finland, they had shops that had vegan food in them and restaurants. Kilpisjärvi itself has 2 restaurants that have vegan options. One of them has a vegan burger. The other one has vegan burgers and vegan pizzas, all handmade in the restaurants. You're probably not going to have a problem eating out wherever you are in Finland. And while we're on the topic of eating out, a couple of the main chain restaurants here have vegan options too. There's a pizza chain called Koti Pizza, which if you imagine Pizza Hut or Domino's Pizza, but Finnish, that's what Koti Pizza is. They do vegan meat and vegan cheese pizzas. And, you know, like most things in Finland, they're not the most affordable, but they're pretty good. And you do get quite big portions. So, you know, it works out. There's also a chain here called Hesburger, which is Finland's answer to McDonald's. There aren't McDonald's here, I don't think, but there is Hesburger. They do have a few vegan options which are popular with the local vegans here. I'm not personally a fan of places like Hesburger and McDonald's. It's a personal preference, but hey, if you are, there you go. Okay, so the food situation here is pretty good. We've established that. But as you saw earlier, it was minus 17 degrees and there's a ton of snow and ice. It's very cold. It's very snowy. How do you survive this as a vegan? What do you wear? First off, chances are you're not going to be spending that much time actually out in this cold, especially not standing still. You're going to be moving most of the time. You might be waiting for a bus at some point, which sucks. I'll be honest with you. Waiting for a bus in this weather is not pleasant, but
then you'll be on the bus and it'll be warm, and that's pretty much the only time you're going to be standing around anyway. So the answer to the question of staying warm is kind of the same as the answer to the question, how do you stay dry? The answer is, if you stay outside long enough, you can't stay dry and you can't stay warm. Forget about it. All you're going to try to do is delay the wetness or delay the cold. That's your aim. So as a vegan, how do you delay this inevitable cold if you're going to be standing around outside for long periods of time? I actually found it pretty easy, to be honest with you. How it works is, first off, you put on your normal layers. Maybe some joggers, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a scarf, some gloves, a hat. These are all relatively cheap items that are very easy to get vegan using synthetic materials from pretty much any shop in Finland. You just got to look out and make sure they've not put any wool or silk in them. Wool is far more common, and just check the tags. But you can easily find stuff without wool. You can actually pick up some of these heat socks. Multiple brands sell them. They usually have a fire on the branding to show that these are really hot socks. And they're usually vegan. They don't use any wool. They don't use any animal products. They use some kind of synthetic material to keep the heat inside. And they work really well. And you can get them pretty cheap. So I recommend getting them. So that's your base layer. That's where you start. But now you're going to need to put something on top of all that. This is where a snowsuit comes in. I got this snowsuit from a charity shop. I paid about 15 euros, if I remember correctly. It's made entirely out of synthetic materials. You just jump in it, zip it up, and it does an amazing job of keeping your heat in and delaying the cold from reaching your bones. Most cities, and I guess most towns in Finland, have secondhand shops and charity shops where they have loads of these because people buy new ones and then they throw out their old ones. They'll be washed, they'll be clean, don't worry, and they're like new. They don't have damage most of the time or anything like that. Obviously, you can buy a brand new one if you want, but it'll be significantly more expensive, and personally, I don't really see the point. If it works, you know? But I'll leave that up to you. Next up, the shoe situation. I've got these vegan boots from the amazing all-vegan footwear store, Vegetarian Shoes, but they're based over in the UK, and they don't come cheap. I mean, look, no decent pair of boots comes cheap, let's be real. You have to spend money if you want to save your feet. I think we all know that. But there are some alternatives you can look into. One of the better options, I think, would be something like these, snow boots. These are usually made from synthetic materials and rubber, and they're designed to keep your feet warm. They're not the most practical, like you wouldn't want to go hiking in them, but you could, and they will keep your feet warm. I know some vegans are happy wearing secondhand leather boots or just continuing to use the leather boots they already own. Look, that's a personal preference that's going to depend on each person and how they feel about wearing a dead animal's skin. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I would always look for an alternative, but obviously that's up to you. But personally, like I said, I would just completely avoid it altogether because who wants to be wearing a dead animal's skin? Come on. And that's how you stay warm. You can go out and about dressed like this, and if you keep moving, you'll be toasty for a pretty long time. You could probably last for about 20 to 30 minutes if you were just standing still before the cold started to creep in. But after that point, you're going to start losing the feeling in your hands and feet, and it will just become very uncomfortable. Do you have any other tips for staying warm in extremely cold temperatures as a vegan? Get in the comments and let me know. So now you know how to stay warm, but what about the Finnish people themselves? Are they warm to veganism, or are they cold to veganism? You see, I'm trying to work it in with the hot and the cold and staying. Anyway, how do Finnish people view vegans and veganism? My experience of the Finnish people is that they've been pretty calm, quiet, reserved people who like to just keep their business to themselves and don't really want to get involved in anybody else's business. Yeah, there's the odd immature troll who tries to take the mick out of vegans. Like we had this guy who came to our protest and started eating sausages in front of us to try and upset us.
You're the first person who's ever come to a vegan protest and eaten meat. What were you thinking? Get this for TikTok? Try and get famous? Yeah? Feel smart now, or? Yeah?
But most Finns are pretty respectful of veganism, even if they don't agree. And yeah, similarly to the rest of the world, most Finnish people don't agree. Finland's food culture is quite heavily focused on meat consumption. They've got the same attitudes as most Western countries. You know, this mantra, we need meat for protein, we need animals for nutrition. It's the same old, same old. But there are some pretty major signs that the attitudes here are changing. The supermarkets and the restaurants are on board, as we discussed earlier. And I've seen some advertisements for vegan products on the TV and also on banners and things like that outside.
Maista uusi herkumpi gurtti. Oddly good. Mitä parempi maku, sitä suurempi vaikutus.
There is activism here, and it looks like the health industry here accepts that the plant-based diet is sufficient for one's nutrition. All good signs. I think Finland has the potential to be a big vegan player in the world. But how do people see animals here? Like most of Europe, people here love their pets. I've seen people walking their dogs here with these little dog socks to keep their little paws safe from the cold and the ice. Most of them have these little coats on as well. My wife's family is obsessed with their little dog, Emma, their little dachshund companion. There's themed cushions, a calendar, socks, jumpers. So yeah, Finnish people love their pets. And there's also a very famous animal here in Finland that brings in thousands of tourists from all over the world to come and see them. It's Santa's companions, the reindeer. Statues, fairy lights in the shape of a reindeer, signposts, merchandise, postcards, paintings, and lots of artwork. The Finns, especially the northern Finns, really love the reindeer. And people flock here from all over the world to see Santa and the reindeer and connect with these beautiful animals. Or at least, that's what it looks like from the outside. Because, unbelievably, with all of this love for the reindeers comes a very, very dark side. The supermarkets here sell reindeer meat. The market stalls sell reindeer skins and reindeer antlers, both that have been ripped off the dead bodies of slaughtered reindeer. There's a cognitive dissonance here that is at a huge scale. This would be like the British, well known for absolutely loving dogs, selling dog meat in their supermarkets, dog skin, decorating their homes with dog bones because they just love dogs so much. Very strange and disturbing. The last time I discussed the situation in Finland with the reindeer, a lot of people got upset with me because they said, hey, look, this is the indigenous culture of the Finnish people, specifically the Sami people, who are the indigenous people to this land. Because the Sami people have this beautiful indigenous ancient culture when it comes to reindeer, and it needs to be respected, apparently. Well, first off, the Sami people use helicopters to go and find their reindeer, round them up, and take them to the slaughterhouse. Not really an ancient tradition, is it? And secondly, I've visited a reindeer slaughterhouse just outside of Rovaniemi, which is a city in Lapland where many Sami people live. There was nothing ancient or beautiful about this reindeer slaughterhouse, trust me. It was just a big industrial building killing animals in the same industrial ways as you'll find all over Europe. Walking around outside of the place, we saw piles of decapitated reindeer heads. You know, because they're so loved and revered. You can get these reindeer experiences here in Finland, where you go for a day and spend time with the reindeer, and they take you around on a sledge and things like that. Just know that these reindeer are not pets. They aren't treated well, and they're going to end up at that slaughterhouse. Their skin will be stripped, their flesh will be eaten, and their bones will be used for people to decorate their homes. Please don't fund the people who are doing all of this. In the same areas where they do this reindeer tourism, they also do dog tourism. Sled dog tourism. Fortunately, people don't rip the skin off dogs and eat them here, but these dog sledding experiences, and also they have these walking with wolves experiences, these are exploitative too. In both cases, with the wolves and the sled dogs, these animals are not pets. They're not treated well. They're kept in poor conditions, and they're treated as resources with the aim of making money off of them. I do not recommend anyone takes any part in any of these animal experiences. All right, so now you know what not to do, but let's try and spin it and be a bit more positive, right? What is there to do here? Well, depending on where you are in the country, there are numerous animal sanctuaries that offer you to go and visit them, spend some time with animals, do some work for them too because they need your help, and you'll be able to have animal experiences while helping the animals at the same time.
Come here. Hi, oi. Hi. You're so lovely.
sanctuaries I know of down in the description. You could contact them and see if they're open to you coming over. I'm sure many of them would be more than happy to have you come over, help them a little bit, and spend some time with some lovely animals that are well cared for and loved. But maybe some of you don't want to get your hands dirty. And I understand if you're here on holiday or, I don't know, you're precious. There are other things you can do without getting involved with animal poo. That rhymes. You could go on one of Finland's many amazing walks. It's actually pretty flat here. I wouldn't call these things hikes, I'd call them walks, because there aren't really any hills unless you're in the far north of Finland. Most of the country, you're going to be walking through forests with lakes, and actually the whole country is pretty much lakes and forests, separated by a couple of towns and cities, but mostly it's lakes and forests, and it is really, really incredible. Speaking of lakes, I also highly recommend you find yourself a lake sauna. And I recommend you do this just before or just after winter. Because what will happen is the lake will be frozen and the sauna will be really, really hot. So what you can do is get really, really hot, then go down to the frozen lake, which will have a patch of the lake melted, because the people who work there keep it melted, and you can jump in the frozen lake and it feels incredible because you are so hot, and you don't get sick or anything or shiver because it doesn't work like that. It just feels great. But what I don't recommend you do, I do not recommend you jump in a frozen lake without the sauna, like I did. You see, because my wife played a trick on me and told me that people jump in frozen lakes here without the sauna, and it's a perfectly normal thing to do. You just need to get used to it and you'll be fine, right? So silly old me went down to a frozen lake with no sauna, undressed in about 0 degrees, I suppose it was, 0 to -1, maybe something like that. And I jumped into a frozen lake, and it was one of the worst experiences of my entire life. I couldn't stop shivering, I couldn't stop shaking, and it took me about 20 to 30 minutes of being in the car with the heat on to get to any kind of normal feeling again. It was horrible. So, the lesson that you learn here: don't listen to your wife. Go to a sauna first, and then do the frozen lake, and then go back to the sauna, and then do the lake again, and that's the way it should be done. You'll see once you've tried it that there's nothing to be scared of, and it is a really cool experience that you absolutely want to do in Finland. I don't know why I keep doing this with my hands. Have I been doing this for the whole video so far? Because it's like a wide angle too. My hands look absolutely massive, but I guess, you know, we're here now. Whatever. Do you know of any other vegan-friendly activities that people should try here in Finland? Let me know. Okay, we've talked a lot about winter and winter activities and winter stuff. What about the rest of the year? Because there are more seasons here than winter. Well, when Easter comes around, you'll be able to get something called mammi. Now, mammi is a traditional vegan dessert that is vegan by default. Obviously, always double check, because sometimes I've heard some of them put honey in it, but these are the minority. Most of the mammi you'll get here is vegan. If you want to try something new that you won't have tasted before, try it. But be warned, it's an acquired taste. Here's what I said about mammi to a room of Finnish people during a comedy set that I was doing. You've got mammi. The traditional Easter delicacy, mammi, right? Now, I've lived here on and off for a couple of years now, and I still, for the life of me, can't figure out why you guys want to eat this brown, gritty, slimy, sugary shit. I have no idea. Would you like some mammi? No, I'm good. But it's a Finnish delicacy. No, I'm still good. But it's vegan. No, I'm still good. I'm still good. So yeah, it's an acquired taste. Remember earlier on, I told you about these little stalls outside of supermarkets that sell seasonal fruits and vegetables and stuff? Well, here's some cool news. If you're in Finland between July and September, the forests are packed with, let me get the list, blueberries, raspberries, cloudberries, lingonberries, and also various edible mushrooms that you're legally allowed to go in and pick. And you can get some serious hauls too. Mushrooms, for example, you can get enough to feed a family for a good couple of days with some mushroom pies. Finland has some pretty nice weather in the spring and the summer and the autumn. You get mild to actually pretty hot temperatures here. So this is great for when you want to get out picking berries or picking mushrooms, or if you want to go swimming in the lakes, or they even have beaches here as well if you wanted to spend some time at the beach. Probably the nicest beach in the country is at a place called Lottaja, which is also home to one of the best vegan burgers I have ever had. It's at this American diner there, which is really, really meat heavy, but it does have 2 vegan options, and one of them comes with a homemade vegan alioli and it is still to this day one of the best vegan burgers I've ever had. So I highly recommend you go and try that out. Look, I'm getting so excited. I've knocked my microphone and everything. Do you know of some other hidden vegan gems in Finland? Let me know in the comments. So there you have it, guys. That's a guide to being a vegan in Finland and surviving the winter. And if you want to help me with my vegan and animal rights work, check out the David Rams Patreon and YouTube teams in the description.